In the midst of life's storms and uncertainties, it can be easy to feel alone and abandoned by God. But what does the Bible really say about this? The truth is, God has promised us that He will never leave you nor forsake you. This promise is rooted in Scripture, particularly in Deuteronomy 31:6, where Moses says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." But what does it mean to say that God will never leave us? Is it a guarantee of physical presence or a constant feeling of comfort? In reality, this promise speaks more to God's character and nature than our circumstances. As we explore the depths of this promise in the Bible, we'll discover how God's faithfulness is not dependent on our emotions or experiences, but rather on His unwavering commitment to us. We'll learn about the times when God seemed distant or absent, yet still remained present and working behind the scenes. By diving into the pages of Scripture and sharing personal stories of struggle and triumph, we'll uncover the warmth and reassurance that comes from knowing God will never leave you nor forsake you. This promise is a source of hope and strength for anyone feeling isolated or uncertain about their faith. In biblical context and key passages, the phrase, "God will never leave you nor forsake you," is not a new concept in the Bible, but rather a reminder of God's enduring presence throughout Scripture. In Deuteronomy 31:6, Moses encourages the Israelites to be strong and courageous, assuring them that the Lord their God will be with them wherever they go. This promise is echoed in Joshua 1:9, where Joshua is told by God, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened, and do not be dismayed, for it is the Lord your God who goes before you." The repetition of these words emphasizes the importance of remembering God's presence in our lives. But where else does this promise appear in Scripture? In Hebrews 13:5-6, we read, "Keep your life free from love of money, and be content with what you have, for He has said, 'I will never leave you, nor forsake you.' So we can confidently say, 'The Lord is my helper. I will not fear. What can mankind do to me?'" These passages demonstrate that God's promise of presence is not limited to a specific time or circumstance, but rather it is an ongoing reality for all believers. This promise speaks directly to our fears and doubts. It encourages us to trust in God's character and nature. Meaning and key themes: the phrase, "God will never leave you nor forsake you," is more than just a comforting promise. It's a declaration of God's unwavering commitment to His people. In Deuteronomy 31:6, Moses reminds the Israelites that the Lord their God will be with them wherever they go, emphasizing God's presence as a source of strength and courage. This promise speaks directly to our insecurities and doubts about God's love and involvement in our lives. It counters the idea that God's absence is a sign of His disapproval or rejection. Instead, it highlights God's enduring nature, reminding us that He remains faithful even when we feel abandoned. One key theme emerging from this promise is the importance of trust. Trusting in God's presence and character means recognizing that our experiences and emotions do not define His love for us. This promise encourages us to look beyond our circumstances and focus on God's unchanging nature. God's promise also speaks to the reality of difficult times when we may feel like He has forsaken us. However, it reminds us that even in those moments, God is still present and working behind the scenes, guiding us towards His purposes. This understanding gives us hope and strength to persevere through life's challenges. Ultimately, this promise invites us to re-examine our perception of God's presence in our lives. It encourages us to move beyond superficial understandings and delve deeper into the depths of God's character and nature. Doing so, we can discover a more profound sense of peace and assurance that God will never leave us nor forsake us. Practical application today. So how does this promise impact our lives today? For one, it reminds us to cultivate trust in God's presence. This means acknowledging that His love and commitment are not defined by our emotions or experiences, but by His unwavering character. We can apply this promise in practical ways by praying for trust in God's presence, seeking to understand God's character and nature through Scripture, reflecting on times when God seemed distant or absent, yet remained present. By embracing this promise and its corresponding themes, we can develop a deeper understanding of God's love and commitment. This understanding will give us the strength and courage to navigate life's challenges with confidence, knowing that God is always with us. This promise is not just a historical or theological concept, but a living, breathing reality for all believers. It speaks directly to our hearts and minds, reminding us that we are never alone in our journey of faith. In conclusion, as we reflect on the promise of God's presence, it's essential to remember that this promise is not a guarantee of physical comfort or emotional reassurance. Rather, it speaks to God's unwavering character and nature, reminding us that He remains faithful even in the midst of uncertainty. This understanding gives us hope and strength to persevere through life's challenges. By trusting in God's presence and character, we can cultivate a deeper sense of peace and assurance that God will never leave us nor forsake us. May this promise be a source of comfort and guidance for you as you navigate the ups and downs of life. May you come to know the warmth and reassurance of God's love, which is not dependent on your emotions or experiences, but rather on His unwavering commitment to you.